Hello everybody, welcome to today's video. We are going to talk about minimalism and having kids. What I'm going to do during this video is fixing my son's jeans. His wardrobe is not as minimalist as mine, so he has like 5 pairs of jeans, and guess what? All of them have holes, and the ones I fixed before are coming off, so I want to redo that. Yes, I fix his jeans because there's no point in not doing it, otherwise I can buy new ones every 2 weeks. So I'm gonna do that, and for that I use my hand sewing things, and they are in this basket I got for my birthday, which I talked about in the video. I link you up here. It's just a video where I talked about everything I got for my birthday, and now I have organized my sewing things in here. And in here I have like the basics of threads and needles and things like that that I'm going to need to fix these jeans. So having kids as a minimalist, I have to say I wasn't really a minimalist before I had kids. So the only experience with minimalism for me is with kids. But on the other hand, minimalism is my lifestyle, and I try to not really like force it on anybody else. So I would not say my son is a minimalist, even though of course there are some things that he has less of than other kids maybe, just because I am a minimalist. But I was also never really the opposite of a minimalist when I had him, and when he was, I gave birth to him when I was 18. So I lived at my mom's place still, and I did not have a lot of money. So naturally I did not buy super many baby essentials, and my mom was also a person that didn't think you need everything for a baby. So I think we were pretty minimalist, or he was like a pretty minimalist baby when he was still small. But with that, I really want to say I do not want to force anybody to be minimalist. I don't think it's a good thing to force your kids or partners to be minimalist if they don't want to. And with a baby, I think the most important things is that the baby is well, that you can manage the situation, and that your lifestyle is good for you, maybe also your finances, and that you just are happy. I think there's no like goal of owning the fewest things with a newborn or anything like that. But I can tell you my experiences and my tips when it comes to having a newborn kid and not wanting to have so many things, and also my experiences of right now when he is 6 years old and he owns a lot more than I do, but still not as much as maybe other kids. So the first thing I really want to say is that for a newborn or for a kid at any age, you don't really need all the things that advertisement or other people try to make you buy or say that you absolutely need. I don't think that's the case. And especially for newborn essentials, we don't know what's coming our way. We have never been with a newborn, so it's a situation we absolutely don't know, and we want to be prepared for. We want to be prepared in the best way possible. And I actually want to link you a video from, I think her name is Verena. Her channel is My Green Closet, and I think it was done very well. She has a daughter. I think she's like about 1 year old now, and she made a video about her newborn essentials when she was still pregnant. And I remember watching this video and I thought, yeah, I think she made a good video. She made good choices of what to buy and what not to buy. Now again, I think every situation is different. So there's no correct things to own for a newborn, and no things that nobody can use maybe. Okay, maybe, I don't know. Maybe there are products that really are useless. But in general, you have to like look at your situation, see what's important to you, and decide from there what you think you are going to need. What I can recommend is not buying too many clothes and not buying too many toys for a newborn baby. Because, I mean, some toys maybe are nice, but they don't need that many toys. Also, really think about if you actually want to have a stroller, because a lot of kids really like to be carried around. So I did have a stroller for my son, but I did not really use it for the first 6 months, just because he loved being carried in a baby carrier or like a sling at that time, and he was so much happier that way. So there was no point for me in using the stroller, because nobody wants to have a crying baby. That's just not, I wouldn't force a stroller on my kid. But there are kids that love their strollers, there are kids that do not like to be in a sling or anything like that. So again, you have to see for your baby. When it comes to toys for really small kids, usually maybe they need a few things. I mean, I don't think they need anything apart from food and the love of their parents. But I think it's good if they maybe have a few things they can practice grabbing and practice looking at and just things like that. But for my son, I just had a small basket and I put all his toys in there. And I also paid attention so that the toys would not be more than what fitted in that basket. And he was absolutely happy that way. I was too, because whenever we played with like all his toys, I was able to clean up the room in 5 minutes again. And when it comes to the clothes for like newborn babies, you need a bit more than for older kids, because you never know when they have like a major blowout and you need to change them. So it could happen that you need 3 outfits a day. But again, they don't need 100 outfits. I think you should calculate it the same way you calculate clothes for adult people or other kids. You just think about how much you need from one wash to the next. Maybe for kids have a little bit more, just have a little bit of extra stuff, so there can't be a situation where they have nothing to wear. But again, that means they don't need that many clothes. I think most newborns have more clothes than they need. Another thing is presents. I did not calculate the presents into my thinking about how many clothes I should get my son when he was really small. He got so many clothes and things as presents. So there actually, at least for toys, there was actually no need in me buying toys. And also, I want to say, I don't think you need to buy any toys before your kid is born. Of course, if you want to, do that. But they will maybe start playing with them if they are, maybe they start looking at them if they're a few weeks old, and maybe start grabbing them if they're a few months old. But so you have enough time, and I don't think your kid has any disadvantages if it doesn't have any toys for the first 3 months. But so just, you can also just buy the toys whenever you see what you have received for his or her birth, or whenever you know your situation better, and whenever your kid is a few weeks old. But for clothes again, the clothes that I bought for my son, I bought them at some sort of a flea market that happened a few weeks before he was born. And the good thing about that, I don't know how this is where you live, but it was like a flea market, an indoor flea market for baby and kids clothes. And all the pregnant moms, or all the like parents to be, were allowed to go in there about half an hour to an hour prior to everybody else. I think I got my sling, I got all the clothes he needed for when he was like born to when he was 1 year old. Actually, I wouldn't recommend doing that. I mean, you can do it, but it's not necessary. It's not necessary buying so many clothes at that moment, because then you have to store them. But it was, I think I ended up paying about 150 Swiss francs, which is about 120 euros maybe, which is about $140 US dollars, I think. So yeah, it's not much money, and I got like everything I needed for the first few months when it came to clothing items, when it came to things just that I needed. The first few months he slept in a bed next to my bed, but since my bed was really low on the floor, I just used a a basket similar to like a laundry basket and put a mattress in there for him to sleep on. It was like a free baby bed, and it was perfectly fine because usually he would sleep in there for a few hours before he would come into my bed and just sleep, co-sleep with me. So I don't think I spent more than maybe 200 euros in total for everything I needed for him for the first few months. Then when kids get a little bit older, they want to have toys and maybe belongings of their own, a room of their own. There it starts to be a bit more like trickier. And so what I realized the first like 3 years maybe, until he was 3, he actually was more interested in kitchen utensils to play with than he was interested in his toys to play with. And I have heard that that is the case for many kids. Now, I don't want to advise you to not buy any toys for your kids, but just know that they don't really care about usually if it's a toy, if it's something you work with, or if it's just something you collect outside, like pine cones or sticks or anything. Of course, keep in mind that they should be clean and that they shouldn't be harmful or poisonous or like dangerous in any way. And my son definitely had toys and he enjoyed his toys. But especially maybe if you're in a situation where you move frequently, when you're on vacation or traveling full time or just traveling for a certain period of time, I actually most of the time did not bring that many toys. I think sometimes I even brought no toys because he was perfectly fine exploring his surroundings and playing with whatever we had with us to use. And again, I do not want to say you should deprive your kids of toys or anything, but just know that maybe this mindset of giving your kids so many toys is not actually super beneficial. And now he gets older and he has more toys and he owns so many more things than I own. But I still try to make sure that he is aware of the worth of things. And I definitely want him to have the majority of his toys in his room, and he is also responsible for cleaning his room. Now, I'm not forcing him. I do help him. I am in his room with him. I advise him. I help him clean his room. But we do talk about possessions, and we do also talk about that the possessions he has to look after them and he has to be able to put them away again. If he doesn't feel like ever maintaining or putting away his things again, then maybe it's too many things. Also, there are studies, and now that's a situation where I cannot link you to studies because I haven't actually read them, but I have experienced that and I have seen that many times, that kids actually play more creatively if they have less toys. Now, there are certain toys that are recommended for that method, like I think fabric pieces and just very multi-purpose toys so that kids can be very creative and play with them. But I have also realized that there are some toys that he is much more creative with, and that usually when I just say him, oh, place something in your room, he is so bored he does not know what to do. But if I limit the selection of things he can do, he's much more creative. If I say you can play with this or with this, and then he picks one and he is super concentrated, creatively playing, just because he's not overwhelmed with the number of things and the number of options I gave him. These options are another thing I want to talk about. Sometimes parents think, that's my opinion, sometimes they try to give their kids the most opportunities, the most options possible, but aren't actually doing them a favor with this. Because a lot of times kids are just overwhelmed with the flood of choices they have. And so more toys does not equal more happiness, more playing, or anything. Sometimes I think that is more in the head of us adults, that we think we should give our kids, we should spoil our kids. But by giving them so many things, we are not actually spoiling them. It would be a lot better for them if we spend more time with them. Now, I know that's complicated, and I do not want to talk about people that have to work, people that choose to work, people that do not choose to work. I think you should choose whatever is best for your family, and there's no right or wrong. I don't even believe in you have to do parenting like that or like that because otherwise you're a bad parent. No. I do not want to talk about that. I just want to say that sometimes also with kids, less is more. That sometimes too many choices are overwhelming. That sometimes we think we do a good thing for our kids if we provide them with so many different toys, but actually they are just overwhelmed and they don't need these many things. We know it ourselves. If our closets are full to the brim, we do not know what we should wear because there are too many choices. So I think our kids experience the same when it comes to toys. And then I wanted to talk about the other things my son owns. His wardrobe is pretty minimal just because I think he can manage his own clothes a lot better if he doesn't have too much, because otherwise everything would end up on the floor, everything would end up somewhere in his room, and then it's really hard to clean it up, to organize it, everything like that. So I think he does a lot better with less choices there as well. He loves his clothes, he picks out his outfits, he dresses himself, but I think if he had even more, it would be much more complicated for both of us. Also, he is at an age where he tries to decide on which things to keep or not. And I do never throw away things that belong to him without talking to him first. I did that when he was really small because then he couldn't even remember his things. But then at a certain age, one time I gave away books because I knew he didn't read them anymore, he didn't like them anymore. They were just like little kids' books and he was older. But he was really sad that I did that, and I'm actually regretting that a bit. So I'm never throwing away things again just because I don't want them anymore. But now I really do sometimes talk to him about that. And I let him make his own decisions, which results into him having a lot more things than I do. But I think collecting is something that is really interesting for kids at that age. I remember when I was 6, I had a mountain of rocks in my room just because I liked to collect rocks. These weren't special rocks, these were just normal rocks, but I really liked them. And so I think I let him have that, but I'm always there for him if he wants to declutter. I do talk to him about things he doesn't use, he doesn't want to clean up, and we do talk about if it would be better to get rid of these things. And ultimately, I just let him make his choices. But because again, this is my lifestyle and I do not want to force it on anybody else. I think it would be harmful if I try to make anybody else live the way I live. But for me, it's just important, again, that everything fits in his room, that he is happy with his things, and I have to live with that my son is not a minimalist. But that's okay, and maybe that will change. We don't know. But I think just do whatever feels good to you. When you have small kids, you can decide more when it comes to their things. When you have older kids, I think I would just be really honest and talk with them about it to see if you can find a solution that's good for both of you, because you have the right to feel at home in your house, but he or she has the right to have a room that is good for them, I think. But again, you have to find a solution that works for your family. Now, I would be really interested in how you think about this topic, how you handle it, if you have even more questions, and I hope you like this video. If you want to see more, I link you a video and a playlist right here, and I hope to see you next time. Bye!